This is Thoughts with C, J, and L.
A podcast by three Asian American people with thoughts on being Asian, American, and people.
On this episode, we're talking about mental health and burnout.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about mental health. And since the subject of mental health is this huge, giant topic that's not easily coverable at all in the time limit that we have, we are going to just be focusing on mental health through the lens of burnout specifically, because that is the angle that we wanted to go for.
Deal with it.
Yeah. But also, if you have other areas of mental health that you want to hear us talk about, let us know through our Instagram at thoughtswcjnl. Yeah, so I figured we could probably start by just defining what burnout is and how we personally feel about burnout. Like, are you feeling burnt out now? How would you rate yourself on a scale from not burnt out to burnt out, I guess?
Do we do it on like terms of burn, like non-toasted versus like charred?
Sure.
Golden brown.
Or like, should we all just like individually define what burnout means or feels like for each of us?
I think we
Or
can throw out ideas because I feel like there's not, well, I mean, there probably is a set definition somewhere, but it's definitely different for each person. So,
I guess when I thought about this topic, I was thinking like, when do I start feeling burnt out? Or like, yeah, I guess when I tell myself, ooh, I'm feeling a little burnt out. It starts like when I don't want to do things anymore, or like I'm actively avoiding things that I would normally do. And the quality of work like just greatly diminishes. Like usually I'll go through things like 2 to 3 times, and when I get to the point where I'm like I just don't care anymore, I'll turn that in, or like I'm satisfied with how this is just because it's done. For me, that's what burnout is. Because I prioritize like good quality and enjoying what I do, and so when I don't do those things anymore, it's like that's a red flag. In terms of my scale of not burnt out to burnt out, I think like towards the end of my semester, I was like at a 7 out of 10, so like golden brown, almost a little dark brown. But now I'm like in the middle, which is like a 5 because I've gotten the chance to just like not do anything. But I also think it was because of a defense mechanism for like avoiding more work. I was just like, I need to take care of myself. That's what I need to do. It's a good or bad thing, but I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
I was going to say something similar where for me, burnout feels like I'm dragging myself through the day. Um, okay, I feel like I'm the type of person who I don't like to put a lot on my plate because I want to be sure that I can take care of everything that I'm responsible for. So I won't purposely like book my schedule like completely full. So like when I'm feeling good, I can get through the day and work won't feel like, I mean, it'll still be work, but it won't feel like a chore or it won't feel like painful to get through. But once it gets like really painful where I have to like force myself to just get through it, like just go through the motions, I feel like that's what I would call burnout. And then for my rating, like if we're talking about this last semester, I felt burnt out like right in the middle of the semester because it was kind of like the beginning of the semester. I was like super anxious because it's like new classes plus online learning. It's like a totally new thing that none of us are used to. And then after a while, you get into the groove of it. And then near like November, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like completely dead. I need break to come right now. And then after break, I was like, okay, this is okay. So in the middle of the semester, I would be like an 8 or a 9, but towards the end, I was kind of like a 5.
Um, okay. I feel like when I was a student and I had like student burnout, it was always like by the time I realized I was burnt out, I like there was nothing I could do to unburn myself out except like make it to the end of the semester or whatever break was upcoming. because I feel like I was always the type of person who would start the semester off being like, okay, last semester I ended up very crispy and not alive internally. So I'm not going to do that again. So I'm going to say no to everything. But then there would be like things that I'd be excited about, or I'd like have a really rough course load and like basically overcommit. And then like it just, would snowball. And I think the feeling that I had was just like nothing is fun. Like doing stuff that I started the semester really excited about, not fun. Studying even things that, were conceptually interesting to me maybe a month ago, not fun, not interesting. I just like you guys said, like dragging my feet. And yeah, I don't know, student burnout, I just always felt like there was nothing I could do to relieve that burnout except for stopping to be a student, which I guess maybe is what burnout is. Or student burnout for me was just I was exhausted by being a student. Um and in terms of how I'm feeling,
That was a deep sigh.
I don't have a whole lot of burnout right now from like working. If anything, working has kind of been like a distraction from, I don't know if it's like residual student burnout or just like life burnout, but there's just some tiredness, and maybe it's like I'm just older and jaded now, but there's just like some weird tiredness there that's lingered since I graduated. And so I would probably rate on a scale of 0 to 10 or 1 to 10 or whatever, I'd probably put myself at like a 3 or a 4 for burnt out. So lightly toasted. But it's definitely not because of work. I don't think I'm feeling burnt out by work at all.
Yeah, when you said life burnt out, I thought that was interesting just because that's so real. And right now, my coping mechanism is TikTok. I just like let my brain just zone out.
Oh man. Yeah, I see, I think that's part of the reason why it's lingering is because I can't comfortably zone out, or like I don't know. Okay, I'll give an example. So, like 2 weeks ago, I was working on like a project outside of work. And like that whole week, I was just like I stayed up pretty late. I was reading stuff and like doing a lot of research and just like work. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be super productive this week. And then the weekend, I'm going to just like do nothing and like let my brain rot, right? Because as a, self-care. But then the weekend hit and I was like, wait, I'm on such a roll with this project. Like I can't just stop. Even though like I had already hit all the markers that I had set out for myself that week, but I like felt like I was like I'm on a roll, like I can keep going. So then I like felt bad because I was tired of working on this project and I needed the break. But then like when I sat down and was like, "Hey, like let me actually try to relax." I also felt bad and couldn't relax because I part of my brain was like, "Why aren't you working on this project? Why can't you keep going?" So yeah, I think that is contributing to this residual burnout that I have of like this weird tension.
I feel like I get the same sentiment where with school where I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna work on this assignment and then like that's my only goal for today. But I finish it and then if I still have time left, I'm like, well, I could do more. So like my potential was higher than the bar that I set. So if I'm not doing it, I'm not reaching my potential. And then therefore I feel bad about myself if I don't do it. But then it's kind of toxic because if I'm pushing myself to the max every single time, it's gonna wear me down.
I don't know, like why do we feel like we have to be constantly working? Or like why do I feel like I have to be constantly working?
Retweet. The other day in my journal, I was writing about like how for some reason I think last time we talked about purpose, or a couple of times ago we were talking about purpose and like just constantly feeling that need. And for some reason for us, well, for me specifically, but I also branching that out to society, like working equates to purpose.
Hmm.
And like yes, sometimes I feel a similar sentiment where it's like if I'm not working or doing something productive, like what's the point of just enjoying or doing something? Like when I started crocheting, but for that, I'm like, I need to get like XYZ done and I need to give it to this person. And it's never like, oh, I'm doing it for fun. I'm doing it because it's just like relaxing. It's always like, I need to produce something and I need to give it to somebody and it needs to have like a purpose. And where that stems from, shout out to God. I don't actually know.
Wait, I
Uh,
oh, okay, I feel like I can think of 2 feelings related to this situation, where one is guilt, where we feel like we can do more, but if we don't do it, then it's kinda like, "Oh, that was a waste because I could have done more." Or it's fear, where we're scared that if I don't do something now, or if I don't keep working now, it's gonna get me in the future. It's gonna, like, bite me in the butt. Because I feel like for me, I feel the fear part of it a lot more than the guilt, where if I'm not reaching my potential right now, my lack of effort right now is gonna get me later.
And then when I think about that, I think like so that's we're gonna like term those as negative reasons for drive, I guess. But if there was like if you're driven by like passion or like excitement, do we think in terms of like burnout that we would burn out? I mean, obviously you would eventually, but would it happen faster? And like are most of our burnouts from the fact that it's negative or like not good reasons? I don't know if that is related, but that just is what popped into my head because those two reasons are like not why you want to do things usually.
Yeah, because when we talk about burnout, it's usually in the negative connotation where, like we said earlier, it's a feeling of, oh, I don't want to do this, but I'm just going through it, or I'm dragging my feet because I don't want to do something. But is there positive burnout?
I personally get bored really easily. And so that's where I see it being a thing, or just working on something for so long, I don't think I could do, even if I really liked it. Like, even during Frisbee, there were times where I was like, I just can't go to practice today. Like, I don't want to.
mhm. Yeah, I feel like it's like too much of a good thing is still a bad thing. Or I don't know if that's the exact phrasing, but yeah, I don't know. I think you can definitely get burnt out doing something that you love. But I wonder if it's because there's like outside influences on that.
What do you mean?
Because I'm like, okay, I'm trying to think of a personal like, example of feeling burnt out doing something I really enjoyed. Okay, so like, the mental health org that I was kind of in charge of in undergrad, like, it was one of my favorite orgs that I did, but I think there were definitely some points where, there were the demands of, like, being in charge of this club were too much, or there was too much other stuff going on in my life that overshadowed how much I enjoyed this org conceptually and how much I liked the work that we were doing. Like, there was just points where I was like, I'm literally or, like, sending emails, I was like, I'm literally, like, fighting tooth and nail to just, like, send these freaking emails out. I don't know, I wonder, like, how people talk about never, like, make your hobby or passion your job because then you're gonna hate it.
Mhm.
I don't know, I just feel like you can be positively burnt out because of how society works.
As in, we're encouraged to find or to work in a field that we're passionate about, and then we get burnt out there.
Yeah, like, I think, like, something about obligation is really exhausting. 'Cause, like, okay, with your crochet example, Loho, like actually, I'm not gonna use crocheting, I'm gonna use sewing because I sew. I never get burnt out from sewing because if I, like, wanna stop sewing, I just stop sewing. But if it were my job, then I can't just stop sewing.
Yeah. I mean, as like people, as humans, we're always changing and like I mean, maybe this isn't normal and I should get it diagnosed, but from like day to day, even from like morning to night, my attitude changes so much. And like having the external factor of these obligations that make us burnt out, I can see how it happens when you don't have that release to just not do it anymore. Then like cater to how you are as a human. It's like, well, yeah, that's probably yeah, you're right where it kind of comes from.
Wait, okay, I feel like the obligation thing is, like, kind of it for me. Like, even with that project that I was talking about, like, I couldn't relax because sort of felt like, if I'm not working on this, then what? Like, there was, like, a weird obligation in my head. Like, I mean, it was a personal project, so I wasn't obligated to anybody, but I felt obligated to myself to keep working on this, even though, like, I should have been taking a break because it's like my work that I was producing wasn't good because I just was distracted and tired. But then that leads to, like, more distraction and more tired. Yeah, I think I am a bit of a workaholic.
I definitely am.
Oh.
And I hate it. Like
Is
there
this
are
what
a
we
lot of
call
things that I know for
workaholism?
me personally it stems from, but I can't imagine what it's like to not always think about being productive or like doing something.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this recently or I was thinking about it after finals because, especially towards the end of the semester, it's kind of like go, 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 like just cram and study and do all of this work. And then we're like almost at the goalpost because we want to get on break. But then once I took my last exam, I kind of just sat there and I was like, okay, what now?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know what to do because there's no more work to do, but I also feel like I don't have a drive anymore. I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, after my finals, the same day I think I took my last final, I started like applying to jobs and looking for housing, which to me was work. And like I did like some training and like certificate things that I have to do for my program. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is not a break at all. And it was problematic that I didn't have like any break or coping thing because then I kind of crashed and burned for a hot sec. But then also I was like, okay, I'll do some kind of self care, and I think I just like took too many days off after that because there wasn't a break. But the break didn't come from, oh, I want to take a break or like this is something that I want to do. It was just, oh, like I'm forced to do it because like my brain can't function anymore.
It's like repression almost. Or I don't know if that's what you were going for, but for me, whenever I like take a break, it's not like I'm actively wanting to take a break. Like the idea of like sitting down and being like, I'm not going to do work and then I'm going to enjoy this time not doing work intentionally is just, I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know. I think my tendency is just if I'm not doing work, that's because I like literally can't get it together and I'm so tired.
Yep.
Ah. I actually think that whole concept is like one of the things that's been driving this like post grad burnout that I keep talking about. Like I think I feel this like weird tension or angst between like feeling like I should be at student levels of productivity, but then also knowing that what is demanded for 4 years of college as a student is not sustainable for the rest of my life at all, clearly. And so then just feeling stuck and then not being able to do anything.
You have PTSD from college.
Oh my gosh, I was talking to my friend about that. Literally, like I was catching up with an old high school friend and we were talking about how I like literally don't remember some semesters of college because of how stressful studying and like classes were. Like my timelines are all mixed up. I was reading through some old journals that I had in undergrad and like I literally combined like fall 2018, fall 2019, like fall junior year, fall senior year. I like mashed those timelines together in my present memory because I like couldn't remember like I literally forgot the classes that I took my fall junior year and I collapsed it with my fall senior year because those semesters were so stressful for me. My brain like doesn't separate them. They're like one giant memory. So, yeah. I've like definitely repressed college stress and burnout.
I feel like that happened to me in high school, and then I crashed and burned in college. Because
Mm,
maybe it was just like the people I hung out with, but they were all like super competitive, especially because like applying to colleges and a lot of my friends were applying to Ivy Leagues and stuff like that. So it was like really competitive. And I feel like in high school, I definitely had the mentality of always pushing myself to the max. Because if I'm wasting time, it's like, oh, well, what if I don't get into college? And it's like, it's always that thought that like drives me to or that fear of not getting into college that like kept driving me to like pull all-nighters and not take care of myself and just sacrifice my physical and mental well-being for schoolwork.
mhm.
um, and then I got to college, and then I think I definitely did not study as hard in college compared to high school because I feel like I was so burnt out. I literally like could not get myself to do work because I was like, okay, like what's the point? Like I don't have energy for this anymore because it's like carried over from high school.
I feel like that what you were describing, Jam, happened to me, but like shifted. So high school, I was kind of building up into this like insanity that was college. And then now that I'm out, and like I think throughout college I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to like do well in school and do all these things so that I can either get into grad school or get a job. And like it's not going to happen because I'm a mess and like I can't get it together and I'm bad at math and like all of that. But then I like got this job now, and then I'm like suddenly realizing like no, like my life, like well, like I was talking about when we were talking about physical health, like my physical health and mental stability is not worth like throwing away for like school or for my like a potential future job. Like it's just not worth it. Like I need to prioritize these things about myself before these other like external factors. And I think like that dealing with that realization has like basically come as a result of feeling all this residual burnout from undergrad.
I was gonna kind of say the opposite, where because well, I think we all had the same experience where it like built up in high school and we all really wanted to go to college. But I think for me, I didn't think I didn't picture life after getting into college. And so I just put all my eggs in one basket and I just like full throttle. And then I got there and I was like, oh shoot, I have to keep going at this pace. So then I just dropped off. But then like I went back up after, but no one really prepares you for the rest of your life in high school. Well, I think it also doesn't help that we're Asian American. But there is that significant pressure on college specifically.
Yeah. I think high school for me was a lot of like I was doing all of these things out of obligation, like I felt like I had to do in order to get to college, like AP classes, like science. I don't know, like I was like straight A's, like all those high school things I felt like I had to do that I really hated. And so when I got to college, I was like, I'm gonna just do whatever I want. But I think I didn't realize that doing whatever I want could also lead to burnout because that means not saying no to anything. And then on top of having really hard classes, like that's just a disaster waiting to happen. And then I think I would tell myself, like, yeah, I feel terrible and burnt out, but it's okay because I like these things and things will be interesting in the future. But that's like putting all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I did the opposite of that, where where because I felt so burnt out from high school, when I came to college, I was like, okay, no more of that. I want to actually do stuff for myself or just be less stressed. I don't want to be as committed to that many things because I knew how stressful high school was. And so I ended up saying no to a lot of things because I was like, I only want to commit to the things that I know I can commit to.
You did it right.
Yeah.
I did what Pat did, and I was like, I'm gonna do everything and try everything.
No, but I feel like the con of what I did is that I don't think I really branched out or networked that much, or like not even for career related stuff, but even like friends or meeting new people. I mean, college is like known for like, oh, you're gonna meet so many people, you're gonna find your like best friends or like lifelong friends in college and stuff like that. I kind of just like I didn't put myself out there because I was like, I'm not gonna burden myself with these responsibilities, even if they're like social responsibilities or whatever. Like, I don't want to overcommit. And then I just ended up not meeting as many people or having that connection that I wanted in college.
Oh, I wanted to put a little disclaimer. I think that we are like, in my personal opinion, we're not as like crazy as we're making ourselves sound to be. Like in terms of being a workaholic, we probably are more than the average person, but I think we do enjoy things sometimes and like do take breaks. It's just not enough to what we need to do.
That's true. I also agree with that because I also, yeah, wait, I want to add to your disclaimer. I feel like a lot of times when especially in university, when people talk about feeling burnt out and feeling tired, it's like almost framed positively. Like, look at how hard I'm working. I slept 4 hours no, I slept negative 4 hours last night. Like, you should one up me. It's like a flex.
Wait, that's kind of like hustle culture, right? Because it's kind of like,
Yeah.
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 So no flex. Bad.
It's not a flex.
One of my really good friends got into medical school recently, and that girl slept 8 hours every single night of her entire undergrad. And so y'all better sleep.
I mean, I would hope that my doctor gets 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Sorry, my disclaimer totally interjected in your topic.
No, but it's an important disclaimer because I agree, like, this is not a flex podcast. These are all bad things.
But also we're like not like I don't know. I think we do enjoy things. Like I don't want to make it seem like
The
we're
first part of your
crazy.
disclaimer too.
But also, yeah, this isn't supposed to be a flex of like working because it definitely flows into the depression and anxiety that also is my life.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, should we talk about coping?
Yeah.
I think of like self-maintenance over self-care. I think that helps me a lot. Like things I do, like I journal like a madman. I write so much. My dad like has recently taken to making fun of me because he like gets a bunch of free journals from work events that are just all piled up collecting dust in his office. So like every time I come home, I'll like grab one of his journals and he'll be like, "You need a new one already? Like what are you writing?" Like I'm like, "It's my life's work."
Wait, do you ever want to burn your journals?
No.
Oh my gosh. I want to
Wait,
burn mine.
I feel no sentiment about most things in my life, but for some reason when it comes to my journals, I feel very sentimental about them.
Wait, that's good.
Yeah, I think they're like one of the few things in my life that I'm low key a little bit attached to.
I feel like they're
Um,
good to look back on.
mhm,
Be like, how did I think back then?
yeah. But yeah, I think journaling and then recently like working out, having a regular workout schedule and then also like trying to figure out my sleep schedule. I think those three things. Yeah, that's what it is. Sorry, I'm like repeating myself. I think for me, having like consistently scheduled things is more helpful than like once in a while, like rewarding myself with something.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, like having a consistent schedule. And for me, especially in quarantine, I think it's been easier to implement or start building habits, like little things to keep consistent within my day. So some things that I do are like I stretch every morning while I listen to like the news. And then obviously like exercising and food, I keep pretty consistent. And then I've been trying to meditate at night just as a way to kind of calm my thoughts down because I definitely have a lot of racing thoughts. And then sometimes it keeps me up at night. So I found that meditating, it kind of like forces me to shut up inside my head because
Mhm.
I'm literally just supposed to think about breathing, not in a restrictive way where I'm not allowed to think about other things, but kind of like these 10 minutes that I'm taking out are only for thinking about breathing. And then if I get distracted, it's fine, but I'll come back. Um, yeah, it's just like little things like that. I think it's been helping. And also setting out time, like writing out a schedule, I think it helps me not feel guilty if I'm not working at a specific time.
Yeah, I feel the exercise thing. I like hate warming up, is what I realized. And the dread before exercising, I don't know why it comes, but it does. So I like literally have it written down, like just run, just don't even question it, just do it. So like scheduling things out definitely helps a whole bunch because I like know that I'm scheduling it for a reason. It's just when I don't have it scheduled, then I'm like, well, why would I do it? If it's not in the Google Calendar, I don't have to do it.
It's not official.
Yeah. But I think for me, I get the thing that I realized about myself too is that I get bored with doing day-to-day things. Like once I get down a routine, I get bored of it really quickly. Like now that I'm not training for running, I like don't like it because it's just like, okay, now what? Like it kind of just got old kind of fast without that goal. So I'm gonna try to change it up. So having routines for small amounts of time, but then like changing it after, I think is something that I do. And then another thing is just like planning things that I'm looking forward to that are different every week. Like whether it be talking to you guys or like no, seriously, like The life changer.
You guys
Like
were friends in
creating
real life.
something. What?
Oh, I was gonna tell our viewers that we are actually friends. Or listeners, not our viewers.
Yeah, I don't know, like being creative and making the outlines, like for some reason I really like doing that. Or like cooking something, or playing games. I don't know, just like things that'll hold me over till the end of the week. But I'm like, ooh, if I do this and like this is coming up. But yeah, those day-to-day things are definitely important.
Should we do TLDRs?
Yeah. Okay, I have one. TLDR, burning out is not a flex. Try to take care of yourself.
TLDR, you shouldn't feel guilty for taking time out for yourself.
Mine's a little silly, but when isn't it? TLDR, we're all just like little pieces of bread. Don't even get in the toaster. Like, stay away. Be raw bread if you can. Like, not like the raw dough, but like raw bread that's before it's toasted. Bye, Jane.
Hi, Jane.
Bye, Jane.